In the vast, untamed lands of the American Southwest, two of the fiercest and most formidable Native American tribes once battled for survival, honor, and domination: the Comanche and the Apache. Theirs is a story not often told in the grand narrative of the American West, but is one of the most dramatic, violent, and long-lasting tribal wars in North American history. This relentless conflict between the Comanche and Apache nearly erased the latter from the map, forever altering the balance of power among native tribes and impacting the region's history for centuries to come. The origins of conflict. To understand why the Comanche and Apache waged such brutal warfare, one must first examine their origins and territorial ambitions. The Apache were among the oldest of the Native American tribes to roam the Southwest. They were nomadic people, skilled in hunting, gathering, and raiding, living primarily in what is now Arizona, New Mexico, and parts of Texas. The Apache were known for their prowess in guerrilla warfare, their deep understanding of the land, and their fierce resistance to both Spanish and later American colonization. The Comanche, by contrast, were relatively new arrivals to the region, originally part of the Shoshone tribe from the Great Basin. In the early 18th century, they migrated south, drawn by the promise of vast plains, abundant game, and, most crucially, the Spanish-introduced horse. Once the Comanche mastered horseback riding, they transformed into the lords of the plains, skilled warriors whose power, speed, and mobility were unparalleled. Their reliance on horses allowed them to raid and control territory on a scale that far surpassed that of the Apache, leading to inevitable clashes as they expanded southward into Apache lands. The tension between the two tribes was not merely territorial, but was also deeply rooted in their contrasting ways of life. While both tribes were raiders, the Apache's survival strategies revolved around smaller, hit-and-run tactics due to their limited access to horses. The Comanche, meanwhile, utilized their superior cavalry to conduct large-scale raids, quickly overwhelming their opponents with brute force and numbers. As the two cultures collided, warfare became not just about land, but about the survival of each tribe's identity and way of life. The rise of the Comanche. By the mid-18th century, the Comanche had become the dominant force in the region, their influence stretching across the vast plains from Texas to Colorado. They formed alliances with other tribes, particularly the Kiowa, and their near-total control over the horse trade gave them unmatched power. Horses revolutionized not just warfare, but the very fabric of life for the Comanche. They became expert breeders, riders, and traders of horses, and their ability to move swiftly across great distances made them a formidable opponent. The Apache, despite their earlier dominance, found themselves increasingly outmatched by the Comanche's mobility and strategic advantage. The Comanche began launching devastating raids on Apache settlements, targeting food supplies, horses, and people. The Apache, already battling Spanish forces and other regional tribes, were stretched thin, unable to mount an effective defense against this new threat. The Comanche raids were brutal and relentless, striking at the heart of Apache society. Unlike other enemies, the Comanche didn't just aim to defeat the Apache in battle, but sought to utterly destroy them. They kidnapped Apache women and children, took slaves, and decimated entire villages. The Apache fought back fiercely, but the power dynamics were shifting irrevocably. As the Comanche tightened their grip over the southern plains, the Apache were forced to flee further into the mountains and deserts, losing vast portions of their ancestral homeland in the process. Guerrilla warfare and survival. Though on the verge of annihilation, the Apache were far from helpless. In the face of overwhelming odds, they resorted to their most effective weapon: guerrilla warfare. The Apache had long been masters of hit-and-run tactics, using the rugged terrain of the Southwest to their advantage. They conducted surprise raids on Comanche camps, ambushed supply lines, and attacked with lethal precision before disappearing into the mountains. The Apache's intimate knowledge of the land allowed them to wage a war of attrition, slowly wearing down their more numerous and better-armed enemies. This strategy kept the Apache alive, but it came at a terrible cost. Each successful raid led to even more brutal retaliation by the Comanche, who now sought not just to defeat the Apache, but to erase them completely. The Apache found themselves trapped between their desire for revenge and the need for survival. families were torn apart, villages reduced to ashes, and their numbers dwindled with every passing year. While the Apache's guerrilla tactics frustrated the Comanche, they also exacerbated the internal divisions within Apache society. As they were pushed further from their homeland, the once cohesive Apache nation splintered into smaller, more isolated bands. Each group was left to fend for itself, and while some were able to hold out in the mountains, others were not so lucky. The fragmented nature of Apache resistance only made it easier for the Comanche to pick them off, one band at a time. Spanish and American involvement. The conflict between the Comanche and Apache did not exist in a vacuum. Both tribes were keenly aware of the growing presence of European powers, particularly the Spanish, who had established settlements throughout the Southwest. The Apache had long been adversaries of the Spanish, frequently raiding missions and settlements for supplies. Yet, as the Comanche threat grew, some Apache bands began to see the Spanish as potential allies. In the late 18th century, several Apache groups sought peace with the Spanish, offering to serve as mercenaries in exchange for protection and supplies. The Spanish, eager to counter the rising power of the Comanche, accepted these overtures, creating a complex web of shifting alliances and betrayals. While some Apache found temporary safety in these agreements, it further fragmented the tribe, as others refused to cooperate with their former enemies. The arrival of American settlers in the 19th century added yet another layer of complexity to the conflict. The U.S. government, eager to expand westward, saw the Comanche as a major obstacle to their manifest destiny. While they viewed the Apache with suspicion, they were also willing to exploit their divisions with the Comanche. Both tribes found themselves caught between two powerful imperial forces, each manipulating the other to maintain control of the Southwest. The decline of the Apache. By the mid-19th century, the Apache were teetering on the edge of extinction. The relentless Comanche raids had decimated their population, and their once vast territory had shrunk to a fraction of its former size. The Apaches who survived were scattered, divided into small, isolated bands. They could no longer mount any serious resistance against their enemies, nor did they have the resources to rebuild. The Comanche, too, would eventually face their own downfall, as disease, warfare with American settlers, and the near extinction of the buffalo, their primary source of food and material, weakened their once mighty empire. Yet for the Apache, the damage had already been done. Entire generations had been lost to the war, and many of their cultural traditions and lands were gone forever. Comanche versus Apache, the untold saga of a brutal war. In the vast expanse of the American Southwest, a fierce and relentless conflict unfolded, one that has often been overshadowed by more famous historical narratives. The saga of the Comanche and Apache tribes is a dramatic tale of survival, dominance, and the unyielding spirit of two formidable cultures. This was not merely a war for land or cattle. It was a brutal struggle for existence that threatened to erase one of these great peoples from history. The clash between the Comanche and Apache, two tribes with rich heritages and deeply rooted traditions, began long before the advent of modern warfare, when life was dictated by the rhythms of nature and the stark realities of survival. By the late 1500s, the Apache had emerged as a dominant force in the southern Great Plains, thriving in an area that offered abundant resources for farming and buffalo hunting. Their intricate knowledge of the land, combined with their prowess as warriors, established them as a significant power in the region. However, the tides of power were shifting. The Comanche, initially viewed as outcasts driven into harsh terrains by rival clans, began to rise as a formidable force. Their experiences in the rugged landscape forged a society that, while marked by violence and vengeance, was also characterized by resilience and unity. They were not just fighting against the Apache, they were battling against the ghosts of their past, striving to carve out a place for themselves in a world that seemed intent on marginalizing them. As the mid-1600s approached, the Comanche's reputation as fierce warriors began to solidify. Their mastery of horse riding transformed them into one of the most mobile and effective fighting forces on the plains. With each raid, they struck fear into the hearts of their enemies, including the Apache. The Comanche's nomadic lifestyle allowed them to adapt quickly, moving in and out of enemy territory with remarkable speed. They were not just warriors, they were hunters and gatherers, skilled in the art of survival in a land fraught with danger. The Apache, on the other hand, faced increasing challenges. As the Comanche began to encroach upon their territories, the Apache realized that this was more than just a skirmish. It was a fight for their very way of life. This struggle was about more than just land. It was about identity, culture, and the future of their people. The Apache were not willing to surrender their homeland without a fight. They rallied their warriors, drawing upon centuries of tradition and the fierce spirit that defined them. The conflict that ensued was marked by brutal battles, cunning strategies, and a relentless quest for supremacy. As skirmishes turned into full-blown warfare, both tribes suffered heavy losses. The blood spilled on the plains was a testament to the fierce loyalty of the warriors and their unyielding desire to protect their way of life. For the Apache, every victory was not just a military triumph, it was a reaffirmation of their existence. For the Comanche, each conquest was a step towards reclaiming their identity and securing their place in the annals of history. In the face of such adversity, the resilience of the Apache was commendable. They employed guerrilla tactics, striking swiftly and disappearing into the vast plains, frustrating their more numerically superior foes. The Apache's deep understanding of their land allowed them to exploit the terrain to their advantage, making every battle a test of cunning as much as of strength. Yet, as the years passed, the balance of power began to shift. The Comanche, fueled by their victories and the spoils of war, began to dominate the southern Great Plains. Their ability to adapt and evolve in the face of challenges was a key factor in their ascendancy. They formed alliances, traded with other tribes, and developed strategies that allowed them to outmaneuver their enemies. Despite their fierce determination, the Apache faced an uphill battle. The relentless pressure from the Comanche, combined with the arrival of European settlers and their own internal divisions, weakened their position. The once mighty Apache strongholds began to crumble under the weight of sustained assaults. The struggle for survival intensified, as each tribe fought not only against each other, but also against the encroaching tide of external forces that sought to disrupt their existence. As the brutal war raged on, the impacts of this conflict extended beyond the immediate violence. It reshaped the social and cultural landscapes of both tribes. The Apache's way of life was irrevocably altered as they faced the grim reality of potential annihilation. In contrast, the Comanche emerged as a dominant power, their reputation spreading far and wide as fearsome warriors. This saga, filled with acts of bravery and resilience, serves as a stark reminder of the complexities of Native American history. It underscores the relentless struggle for survival and the indomitable spirit of those who fought to protect their heritage and identity. The war between the Comanche and Apache may not be as widely recognized as other conflicts in American history, but it is a crucial chapter that speaks to the heart of what it means to be human. The fight for survival, the quest for identity, and the unyielding spirit to persevere against all odds. In a world far removed from the age of drones and automatic weapons, the bravery and determination of these two tribes resonate deeply. Their stories, though often untold, remind us of the sacrifices made in the name of survival and the legacy left behind by those who came before us. The Comanche and Apache may have been fierce adversaries, but they also shared a common thread, a profound connection to the land and a deep-seated respect for the struggles of their ancestors. This untold saga of conflict, survival, and identity is not just a historical account. It is a powerful testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. However, it was their discovery of a new weapon, the horse, that would dramatically alter the course of history for the Comanche. While horses had long been utilized by the Spanish colonists, it was the Comanche who transformed them into unparalleled instruments of warfare. Their mastery of horseback riding not only redefined their military tactics, but also propelled them into the annals of American history as one of the most dominant and formidable tribes. The Spanish, having achieved significant success in their conquests throughout Mexico in the 1500s, were intent on expanding their empire northward. By the early 1600s, they set their sights on the vast and uncharted territories that now comprise New Mexico. Armed with an arsenal of firearms, metal armor, and, of course, horses, the Spanish embarked on their campaigns, bringing with them the brutal legacy of their violent conquests, which had already decimated native populations across Central and South America. The Apache found themselves in the crosshairs of this ambitious colonial agenda, and their lands were next on the list. But the Apache were far from passive victims waiting for their fate to unfold. Instead, they embodied resilience and ingenuity. Realizing the advantages that horses offered, they launched retaliatory strikes against Spanish settlements. Their raids were swift and strategic, targeting not only military outposts, but also the very lifeblood of the Spanish, their livestock and resources. The Apache quickly learned to ride, harnessing the power of their stolen horses to turn the tide in their favor. The very weapon that the Spanish thought would secure their dominance became the Apache's key to survival. As the Apache adapted to their new reality, they became formidable opponents, employing guerrilla tactics that leveraged their knowledge of the terrain and their newfound equestrian skills. This marked the beginning of a fierce and unyielding conflict. The Apache warriors, once relying solely on their foot soldiers, now charged into battle with an agility and ferocity that stunned their enemies. Their understanding of the land, combined with their skill on horseback, allowed them to outmaneuver and outwit the Spanish forces. The Spanish, accustomed to overwhelming their adversaries with superior firepower and military strategy, found themselves facing an adversary that refused to be subdued. The Apache's tactics of hit and run, coupled with their intimate knowledge of the landscape, allowed them to evade capture while inflicting significant damage. This shift in power dynamics led to a series of conflicts that would define the region for generations to come. As the war raged on, the Comanche began to emerge as another key player in this brutal saga. Initially, they were a smaller tribe, struggling for survival in the harsh environments of the southern Great Plains. However, with the introduction of the horse into their culture, they quickly recognized its potential. The Comanche adopted horseback riding not just as a means of transportation, but as a crucial element of their warfare strategy. They developed an unparalleled reputation as skilled horsemen, learning to ride with incredible speed and agility. Through trade, raids, and territorial expansion, the Comanche became adept at acquiring horses, creating a vast and powerful cavalry. This mastery allowed them to dominate the plains, instilling fear in both their rivals and colonial forces. The once small tribe transformed into one of the most formidable powers in the Americas, asserting their influence across a vast territory that included parts of present-day Texas, New Mexico, and beyond. The Comanche's rise did not go unnoticed. The Spanish, realizing that their foothold in the region was threatened, intensified their military efforts to subdue both the Apache and Comanche. This conflict set the stage for an epic struggle, as both tribes fought not only for their survival, but also for their very existence against encroaching European powers. The Apache's determination to resist oppression and the Comanche's relentless pursuit of dominance resulted in a protracted and brutal struggle that would shape the history of the American West. The introduction of the horse fundamentally altered the balance of power among the tribes of the Great Plains. It enabled the Comanche to launch long-range raids, establishing themselves as a central force in the region. Their ability to herd and manage large numbers of horses made them wealthy and powerful, fostering a culture that revered the horse not just as a tool of war, but as a symbol of status and identity. For the Apache, the struggle continued, but their adaptability shone through. They learned from their experiences and the tactics of their enemies. As they faced the dual challenges of the Spanish and Comanche, they evolved, employing their own strategies that capitalized on speed, surprise, and their intimate knowledge of the land. This was a conflict driven not just by the desire for land or resources, but by a profound connection to their heritage and a fierce will to protect their way of life. Throughout this tumultuous period, the battles fought by the Apache and Comanche were characterized by a profound sense of honor and loyalty. Each warrior understood that their actions transcended individual glory. They were part of a larger narrative that would ultimately determine the fate of their people. In this context, conflict became more than mere warfare. It evolved into a deeply ingrained cultural expression where valor, sacrifice, and commitment to one's community were paramount. The conflicts were brutal and often merciless, yet they were imbued with a deep-seated respect for tradition and culture. Each battle was not just a struggle for territory, but also a reaffirmation of identity and a testament to ancestral values. Warriors carried with them the weight of their history, fighting not only for their lives, but for their families, their communities, and the spirits of their ancestors who had gone before them. This commitment created a powerful sense of purpose that fueled their courage in the face of adversity. Both tribes were shaped by the narratives that surrounded them, tales of heroism, endurance, and the profound connections to their land and heritage. The Comanches' fierce determination to protect their way of life and the Apaches' relentless fight for survival are woven into the very fabric of their identities. These legacies resonate through generations, reminding us of the sacrifices made and the bonds forged in the heat of battle. As we reflect on this rich history, we gain insight into the complexities of honor and loyalty within the context of conflict. The Apache and Comanche fought not just as warriors, but as custodians of their cultures, embodying the ideals of their ancestors and ensuring that their stories would endure. Their struggles illuminate the resilience of Native peoples and the profound impact of their shared experiences, offering lessons that echo across time and continue to inspire future generations. As the 18th century approached, the landscape of power in the American Southwest continued to shift. The relentless conflict between the Spanish, Apache, and Comanche would lay the groundwork for future interactions, including alliances and betrayals that would shape the very fabric of Native American history. The echoes of their struggles would be felt long after the dust of their battles settled, serving as a testament to the resilience of these tribes. The story of the Comanche and Apache, forged in the fires of conflict and defined by their mastery of the horse, is a rich tapestry of bravery, ingenuity, and survival. It reminds us that history is not merely a collection of dates and events. Rather, it is a vibrant narrative woven from the experiences and struggles of those who came before us. Each battle, each alliance, and each moment of resilience contributed to a larger story that continues to shape our understanding of Native American history. The legacy of these tribes transcends their time, serving as a powerful source of inspiration. Their ability to adapt to changing circumstances, whether through innovative warfare techniques or diplomatic negotiations, offers invaluable lessons about the importance of resilience and flexibility in the face of adversity. The Comanche and Apache embodied the spirit of survival, fiercely protecting their identities, cultures, and ways of life against overwhelming odds. Moreover, their stories illuminate the complexity of human experiences, highlighting themes of honor, loyalty, and the interconnectedness of community. The deep bonds forged within their tribes, as well as the respect for their ancestors, remind us of the enduring power of tradition and cultural heritage. As we explore their history, we are invited to reflect on our own identities and the values that define us. In this way, the narrative of the Comanche and Apache is not just a historical account. It is a living testament to the human spirit. It encourages us to embrace our own challenges, to remain steadfast in our pursuits, and to honor the legacy of those who fought to preserve their identities. Their journey teaches us that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the quest for self-determination and cultural integrity is a powerful force that can inspire generations to come. By the 1650s, the Apache had evolved into formidable horsemen, leading horseback raids that showcased devastating speed and efficiency. These daring maneuvers became their hallmark. Apache warriors could strike swiftly, often disappearing into the vast wilderness with hundreds of stolen horses and essential supplies. Their mastery of horsemanship not only enhanced their military capabilities, but also ensured their survival in a landscape fraught with challenges. Each successful raid was a bold statement of defiance against their oppressors and a reaffirmation of their resilience. The situation reached a dramatic boiling point in 1680 when the Pueblo people, long oppressed by Spanish rule, found common ground with the Apache. Fed up with the harsh conditions imposed by the colonizers, they united in a massive revolt that would reverberate throughout the region. This unprecedented alliance marked a turning point in the struggle against colonial oppression. Together, they launched coordinated attacks against Spanish settlements, and their efforts culminated in a successful uprising that drove the Spanish out of New Mexico. In the aftermath of the revolt, the Spanish left behind not just land, but a treasure trove of resources, including over 1,000 horses. The Apache quickly seized this opportunity, claiming many of these animals as their own. These horses, a breed that would later come to be known as the Mustang, became a crucial element of the Great Plains ecosystem. Their agility, endurance, and adaptability allowed them to thrive in the region, further enhancing the Apache's capabilities as horse warriors and solidifying their dominance in the area. However, as the 1700s dawned, the tides began to shift once again. The Apache, once fearless raiders, suddenly ceased their attacks on Spanish settlements. This puzzling change in strategy bewildered the Spanish, who could not fathom the reason behind the Apache's retreat. Unbeknownst to them, a new and formidable enemy had emerged from the north, the Comanche. The arrival of the Comanche marked a significant turning point in the power dynamics of the Great Plains. Initially seen as a lesser tribe struggling to establish itself, the Comanche had transformed into a potent force. They capitalized on the very horses that had been pivotal to Apache success, honing their own skills in horseback riding and warfare. With a fierce sense of independence and a growing ambition, the Comanche began to assert their dominance over the region, encroaching upon territories that had once been securely held by the Apache. The Apache, faced with the relentless advance of the Comanche, found themselves in a precarious position. The once mighty raiders, who had relied on their speed and agility, now had to contend with a rival that matched, if not exceeded, their own prowess in horsemanship. This new threat forced the Apache to reconsider their strategies, as they grappled with the reality of a shifting landscape dominated by the Comanche's increasing power. As the 1700s progressed, the rivalry between the Apache and Comanche escalated into a brutal conflict. The Comanche, emboldened by their successes and the vast herds of horses they had amassed, began launching their own raids against both Apache and Spanish settlements. This new era of warfare was characterized by a fierce competition for resources, land, and ultimately survival. The Apache, once the dominant force in the region, now found themselves on the defensive, struggling to maintain their foothold against an adversary that seemed to rise like a storm on the horizon. The landscape of the Great Plains was evolving, with the Comanche asserting their influence and challenging the established norms of power. The once unstoppable Apache, now confronted with this formidable foe, had to adapt once more. They dug deep into their cultural traditions, relying on the teachings of their ancestors and their profound connection to the land to strategize against this new threat. This era of conflict reshaped not only the relationships between these tribes, but also the very fabric of their societies. Both the Apache and Comanche were forced to confront the realities of their existence in an increasingly hostile world. Each skirmish, each raid, was not just a battle for resources, but a fight for identity, culture, and survival. In the end, the shifting tides of power between the Apache and Comanche serve as a poignant reminder of the ever-changing nature of history. The alliances forged, the battles fought, and the landscapes altered all contribute to a narrative rich with complexity and depth. The story of the Apache, the Comanche, and the arrival of the Mustang is not just a tale of conflict. It is a testament to the enduring spirit of resilience and the relentless pursuit of identity amid the tumult of history. As the 18th century progressed, the rivalry between the Apache and Comanche would leave a lasting impact on the region, influencing not only their fates, but also the fate of future generations. The saga of these two tribes, intertwined in struggle and survival, continues to resonate, reminding us of the indomitable human spirit and the intricate tapestry of cultures that shaped the American landscape. The Comanche, whose name translates to "those who are always against me," had mastered the art of horse warfare in ways that few other tribes, including the Apache, could rival. Their relationship with the horse was profound and transformative, extending beyond mere acquisition. While many tribes raided for horses to enhance their mobility, the Comanche innovated their approach by breeding and cultivating their own herds. This strategic advantage allowed them to maintain a steady supply of horses, giving them the upper hand in both warfare and daily life. On horseback, the Comanche became nearly unstoppable. They developed a unique style of combat that utilized the horse as both a weapon and a shield. In battle, Comanche warriors exhibited unparalleled precision, seamlessly integrating their equestrian skills with archery. By leaning sideways on their horses, they could expertly dodge enemy fire while simultaneously shooting arrows with deadly accuracy. This fluidity in motion redefined warfare on the plains, making them a formidable force that struck fear into the hearts of their enemies. In stark contrast, the Apache, once known for their own horsemanship and tactical ingenuity, found their methods becoming increasingly outdated and predictable. As the Comanche honed their skills and adopted innovative strategies, the Apache struggled to adapt. The battles that raged between these two tribes from 1706 to around 1800 were marked by a dramatic shift in power dynamics. The Comanche's mastery of horse warfare, combined with their strategic breeding of horses, gave them a significant edge over their rivals. As the Comanche continued to dominate the plains, the Apache faced a harsh reality. Their tactics, once effective against European colonists, now seemed ineffective against the agile and aggressive Comanche. The Apache found themselves losing ground, their warriors facing the grim consequences of a relentless adversary that seemed to anticipate their every move. In a desperate bid for survival, the Apache sought peace with the Spanish in 1749, hoping to forge an alliance that could help them withstand the Comanche onslaught. However, this peace was short-lived, revealing the complexity and fragility of tribal alliances during this tumultuous period. The Spanish, still reeling from their earlier losses, were hesitant to fully commit to the Apache's cause, prioritizing their own interests over a long-term partnership. The peace negotiations quickly unraveled as the Comanche continued to exert their influence across the plains. The Apache found themselves caught in a precarious position, squeezed between the relentless advances of the Comanche and the uncertain support from the Spanish. Their desperate attempts at diplomacy failed to yield the security they sought, and the harsh realities of survival forced them to reconsider their strategies once more. As the years progressed, the Comanche solidified their position as the dominant force in the region. Their innovative warfare tactics, coupled with their superior numbers and resources, led to a series of decisive victories against the Apache. Each clash not only showcased the Comanche's military prowess, but also illustrated the Apache's gradual decline. The once mighty raiders who had thrived in the face of adversity now faced an existential threat. This transformation of power had profound implications for both tribes. The Comanche's ascendancy marked a shift in the balance of power in the Great Plains, while the Apache's struggles underscored the harsh realities of survival in a rapidly changing world. The once thriving Apache strongholds began to crumble as their warriors faced defeat and their communities were fragmented by the ongoing conflict. The final blow to the Apache came in the wake of continued Comanche raids and shifting alliances. The inability to secure lasting peace with the Spanish, combined with the relentless pressure from the Comanche, led to a devastating loss of resources and territory. As their villages were raided and their people were forced to flee, the Apache faced the grim reality of potential annihilation. The battles fought during this tumultuous period serve as a poignant reminder of the resilience of the human spirit in the face of overwhelming odds. While the Comanche emerged victorious, their success came at a significant cost, with cycles of violence and retribution perpetuating the conflict across generations. The stories of these tribes, of their struggles, adaptations, and ultimately their fates, continue to resonate in the narratives of Native American history, highlighting the complexity of cultural identity and survival amidst relentless challenges. As the 18th century drew to a close, the legacy of the Comanche and Apache would shape not only their own futures, but also the broader history of the American West. The intricate interplay of warfare, alliances, and survival would echo through the ages, reminding us of the indomitable spirit of those who fought for their place in a world that was ever-changing. This era, fraught with tension and conflict, was not merely a struggle for land, but a profound quest for identity and autonomy against the backdrop of colonial expansion. In this epic saga of conflict and resilience, the lessons learned from the Apache and Comanche endure, illustrating the complexities of power dynamics, the consequences of warfare, and the relentless pursuit of identity in a rapidly shifting landscape. The story of these tribes, steeped in bravery and ingenuity, remains a vital part of the rich tapestry of American history, offering insights into the enduring human experience and the struggles that define it. The relationship between the Spanish and these Native American tribes was fraught with misunderstandings and miscalculations. In a misguided attempt to establish a mission in what was believed to be Apache territory, the Spanish unwittingly laid the groundwork for their own downfall by constructing it on Comanche land. This act of encroachment would prove to be a grave miscalculation, one that would ignite a fierce conflict. On March 16, 1758, the Comanche, united with several allied tribes, launched a devastating assault on the newly established Spanish mission. The attack was swift and merciless, resulting in the complete destruction of the mission within just 2 days. This fierce retaliation sent shockwaves throughout the region, demonstrating the Comanches' formidable military prowess and their unwillingness to tolerate incursions into their territory. It was a clear statement that they would not be subdued or overlooked. The Apache, who had once been the primary adversaries of the Spanish, found themselves in a precarious position as the tables had turned dramatically. They were now on the defensive, grappling with the reality of the Comanches' burgeoning power. The fear that gripped the Apache was palpable. They recognized that the Comanche were not just skilled warriors, but also astute strategists capable of forging alliances that shifted the balance of power in their favor. Their previous tactics, honed through years of conflict, were now rendered ineffective against this new and formidable threat, forcing the Apache to reassess their place in the power hierarchy of the region. By the 1790s, the Comanche had solidified their dominance over the Great Plains, positioning themselves as the preeminent force in the region. Their reputation as fierce horsemen and formidable warriors had grown, and they commanded respect and fear in equal measure. A decisive battle in January 1790 would further cement their status. In this pivotal conflict, Spanish General Juan de Ugalde allied himself with Comanche warriors in an operation aimed at quelling the Apache resistance. The ensuing battle near San Antonio was catastrophic for the Apache. Hundreds of their fighters were decimated, a crushing defeat that reverberated through their ranks. The Apache's loss was not merely a military setback. It signified a profound shift in their existence, as their identity and way of life hung precariously in the balance. Following this devastating blow, the Apache were forced to retreat into the mountains, abandoning much of the territory they had once claimed with pride. The harsh realities of their situation became evident. Their communities, once vibrant and resilient, were now fractured and vulnerable. The loss of their land and resources, combined with the relentless pressure from the Comanche, left them with few options for survival. The once proud Apache found themselves retreating deeper into the rugged terrain, seeking refuge among the mountains that had once provided them a stronghold. This retreat was not merely a physical act, but a profound cultural shift, as they adapted to new realities while holding on to the remnants of their heritage. The unfolding narrative of the Comanche and Apache exemplifies the larger story of resistance and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds. As they navigated the treacherous waters of survival, their stories intertwined with the broader currents of American history, offering a testament to the strength of the human spirit in its relentless quest for dignity and belonging. This saga, marked by bravery, adaptation, and an unwavering commitment to their identity, continues to resonate today, reminding us of the enduring legacies that shape our understanding of the past and the complexities of the present. With the Apache all but eradicated from the plains, the Comanche stood at the pinnacle of power, a position marked by both fear and respect from neighboring tribes and European colonists alike. Their ability to adapt and evolve in the face of constant conflict had transformed them into a dominant force, one that commanded authority over a vast territory. The Comanches' reputation as fierce warriors preceded them, and they became known not only for their military acumen, but also for their capacity to instill terror in the hearts of those who dared to challenge them. The era of Comanche supremacy was a fascinating period, marked by a rich tapestry of warfare, diplomacy, and cultural exchange. While the Comanche were a formidable force, instilling fear across the Great Plains, their influence extended far beyond mere military prowess. They were adept diplomats, forming strategic alliances with various tribes, which allowed them to strengthen their position and enhance their trade networks. These alliances were often a delicate balance, as the Comanche navigated complex relationships not only with neighboring tribes, but also with European settlers eager to engage in commerce. The Comanches' trading practices were sophisticated and varied, ranging from horses and furs to agricultural goods, creating an economic system that benefited multiple parties. This intricate web of trade facilitated cultural exchange as ideas, traditions, and technologies flowed between the Comanche and their allies. Their dominance did not merely reshape the physical landscape of the Great Plains, it also transformed the social and political dynamics among tribes. Other tribes, faced with the implications of Comanche power, had to adapt their strategies, forging new alliances or reinforcing existing ones to counterbalance Comanche influence. This era was characterized by a fluidity of power, where shifting allegiances could change the course of relationships overnight. The Comanches' reputation as fierce warriors and skilled negotiators made them key players in the geopolitical landscape of the time. Understanding this complex interplay helps us appreciate the resilience and adaptability of the Comanche people, whose legacy continues to resonate in the history of the American West. As we delve deeper into this captivating chapter, we uncover not just tales of conflict, but also stories of cooperation, cultural richness, and the enduring spirit of a people who thrived amidst challenges. The saga of the Comanche and Apache serves as a powerful reminder of the fluid nature of power dynamics in Native American history. It illustrates the remarkable resilience of tribes as they adapted to the multifaceted challenges posed by both internal rivalries and external pressures. The Comanches' rise to dominance, marked by their fierce warrior culture and strategic alliances, contrasts sharply with the Apaches' desperate struggle for survival. This juxtaposition not only highlights the complexities of cultural identity and territoriality, but also underscores the relentless quest for autonomy amidst the chaos of conflict. As the Comanche expanded their influence across the Great Plains, they showcased a remarkable ability to adapt their strategies in response to shifting political landscapes. Their mastery of horsemanship and warfare enabled them to control vast territories, while their trade networks fostered relationships that extended even to European settlers. In contrast, the Apache, faced with constant pressure from both the Comanche and colonizers, had to employ cunning guerrilla tactics and forge alliances of their own to navigate their precarious existence. This dynamic interplay between the two tribes reveals deeper themes of survival and identity. The Comanche's assertion of power often led to profound cultural exchanges, but it also instigated conflicts that forced the Apache to redefine their own identities in response to external threats. Each tribe's story is a testament to the enduring spirit of native peoples, who, despite overwhelming odds, continually sought to maintain their cultural heritage and autonomy. Moreover, this historical narrative reflects broader themes of resilience, adaptation, and the continuous struggle for agency in a world marked by change and upheaval. As we explore the legacies of the Comanche and Apache, we gain valuable insights into the rich tapestry of Native American history, where each thread tells a story of triumph, tragedy, and the indomitable will to persevere. As the 18th century drew to a close, the Comanche's legacy was already being etched into the historical narrative of the American West. Their battles, alliances, and interactions with neighboring tribes and colonists set the stage for future encounters and conflicts. The echoes of their struggles would resonate through history, influencing the trajectory of not just their tribes, but the broader context of Native American and European relations. Ultimately, the story of the Comanche and Apache during this tumultuous period is one of transformation, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of survival. It reminds us that history is often shaped by the actions of those who dare to confront their adversaries, adapt to changing landscapes, and fight for their place in a world that seems to continuously shift beneath their feet. The legacies of these two tribes continue to be explored and honored, ensuring that their stories remain an integral part of the rich tapestry of American history. The war between the Comanche and Apache was not merely a series of battles. It was a profound narrative of survival, adaptation, and the emergence of a new power on the Great Plains. This chapter of Native American history encapsulates the struggle for existence in an ever-changing landscape, revealing invaluable lessons about the significance of strategy, the necessity of adaptability, and the sheer willpower required to thrive in a world where strength often dictates survival. As the Comanche ascended to prominence, they showcased a remarkable blend of military acumen and diplomatic finesse. Their ability to harness the power of the horse and engage in innovative warfare tactics allowed them to dominate vast territories. The Comanche's strategic alliances, forged through both trade and negotiation, provided them with critical advantages in resource acquisition and military support. In contrast, the Apache's fight for survival exemplified resilience in the face of adversity. Adapting guerrilla warfare techniques and exploiting their intimate knowledge of the rugged terrain, the Apache demonstrated a profound understanding of their environment, turning the challenges they faced into opportunities for resistance. This conflict was more than a struggle for land. It was a contest of identities and futures. Each tribe's response to external pressures and internal conflicts shaped their trajectories, influencing not just their destinies, but also the broader cultural landscape of the region. The lessons drawn from this period resonate today, reminding us of the importance of strategic thinking and adaptability in overcoming obstacles. Ultimately, the war between the Comanche and Apache stands as a testament to the indomitable spirit of Native peoples. It highlights how, even amidst conflict and change, communities can forge their paths through innovation, collaboration, and an unwavering commitment to their identities. This rich narrative encourages us to reflect on the complexities of power dynamics and the enduring legacy of those who fought for their place in history. The Comanche demonstrated that their mastery of the horse was not merely about transportation. It was the cornerstone of their military and cultural identity. Their innovative approaches to warfare, combined with their intimate relationship with their steeds, allowed them to forge a legacy that would resonate through time. They proved that understanding one's environment and harnessing its resources, be it through breeding horses or executing complex battle tactics, could tip the scales in favor of those willing to adapt and innovate. As we reflect on this fascinating period, we are reminded of the resilience and ingenuity of these tribes. The lessons learned from the Comanche and Apache conflicts continue to echo in our understanding of power dynamics and cultural evolution. In a world that is constantly changing, the ability to adapt and strategize remains as relevant today as it was in the 18th century. If you found this deep dive into history intriguing and want to explore more captivating stories like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us bring you more content that sheds light on the rich and complex narratives of our past. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to sharing more journeys through history with you.